Teachery markets itself as a course builder. It has one flat price, lifetime deal, no subscriptions. They even have a button you press to start building a course labeled Teach. But when you start to look at what the platform actually lets you build and doesn't let you build, it makes me wonder what they actually think teaching is. Today, I'm running Teachery through the same tests I have done with all of the other platforms. It's the same lesson, my brain dumping lesson that has activities, videos, branching paths, and we're answering questions about student completion, learning pathways, and how much friction there is for students. I'm Dr. Catrina Mitchum, and I have been designing and redesigning courses online since 2009. Okay, before I dive in, I do want to give Teachery some credit. There are some things that it genuinely gets right. The lifetime pricing model is not common and is actually meaningful. Most course platforms are subscription-based, and so you're kind of on the hook every month. Even if you pay for a yearly membership, you're still paying every year. It also has a really clean interface and makes it easy to find what you need, right? The links for all of your course pieces are really easy to find. They're not cramming everything all into one place. It's not cluttered. The simplicity is a really nice feature. They also do something I haven't seen in any other platform that I'm going to show you when we jump in. And overall, Teachery's gap isn't necessarily in the design, it's in what they actually decided to build. Okay, so one thing that Teachery does not make you guess about where to go to start creating courses. In their navigation up at the top, Teach is one of your options. So when you click on Teach, it takes you to this page where you can create a new course or theme. When you click on that button, it actually does a really nice job of walking you through some things that you need to get started. And that's it. You can start building things in here. So I did choose a different course setup than the one that I'm going to show you that I've built out, just because I wanted you to see the difference that makes. So this one is going to have welcome with their first name, and then you can have a welcome line here. It's going to let you set up kind of a dashboard, an overview dashboard for your course. Okay, so if I am going to insert a video, because I think that's a common one here. I can do the URL of either YouTube or Vimeo. There is no way to upload it, which is, I think kind of nice because the captions tend to already be there and easier to do. The other thing that it has automatically is you can enter transcript files here, which is nice. And then you can just put the transcript below. So it is already, making an attempt at being accessible. And then you can just continue to add lessons and sublessons. One thing I do want to point out that is not here is the ability to add any sort of assignment, activity, quizzes, anything like that. What they do expect you to do, and they're very forthright in their expectations here, is use the add embed code. Another place where I do want to give Teachery some credit is actually that in the Learn button, I'm going to go and they actually give you a Teachery course, a demo course. And I haven't seen this before, and I actually really love this because it kind of gives you some use cases, right? It's all of your help pieces in the actual course platform itself, which I always find to be really useful so that you can experience the learner side of things before you even jump in. And in that learner side of things, you're learning their platform. So kudos to Teachery for this piece. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and jump into the course that I have already done some things in. So question 1 is, can we track something other than I completed it? I'm just going to get straight to the point. No, you can't, because there aren't any assignments, quizzes, discussions, engagement, like none of that is in here. There is something called comments that you have to use a third-party tool to do, but that doesn't count. So it does fail question 1, but we're going to do some creative workarounds. So I did go ahead and grab some embed code for a Google form. There are lots of other types of forms and surveys that you can embed in here. This is just one I had handy. And you can embed it directly as a lesson block. And so really the creative workaround is embedding other things similar to some other platforms that we've looked at. That is how you're going to create the the engagement and kind of the back and forth elements of it. So it does fail. This is the creative workaround. They are very honest about the fact that they are outsourcing all of these pieces, right? And so this becomes an embed repository almost, because everything it has to live outside of the platform except for the organization. Okay, so on to question 2. Question 2 is, can we design for multiple pathways? No. We can't. It isn't inherent. Teachery does make it easier than a lot of the other platforms because there is a sub-lesson. Every single lesson page you create has a link. So just like some of the other platforms where it's not designed to do it this way. So yes, it fails, that second question, but the creative workaround is easier in Teachery. So I went ahead and grab the link for the step 1, path 1, and I pasted it here, which we'll go take a look at what that looks like in just a minute. I didn't paste path 2 or 3 yet, but I can, right? And that is the important part. I can also adjust some of these other fields to make it clear what it is and what they should be doing with it, right? So in a lot of the other platforms, we didn't have that ability. So I could call like the learning resources, I can call copy your workbook, right? I can give the direct instruction as part of the heading. I could make this step 1 options, right? Because I am outlining the different pathways that they could take. So there are a lot of creative ways to do workarounds, even though it does fail. I do want to show you real quick where to, if you're going to do it this way, where to grab that link. So every lesson has a little edit button next to it, and you can return things to draft. You can copy the lesson URL. That's what I used. You can edit lesson names and URLs at any time. Converting it to a sub-lesson, I have used that a few times in creating this. Duplicating lessons. So if you wanted to create yourself a template that you use for, different types of lessons, you can do that too. All right, and now we are going to go over what this looks like from the learner side of things. I didn't spend a whole lot of time trying to make this look nice. I just wanted to have an image up there. So these are all things that I have built into the overview page. These are my lessons and steps. And so I can click getting started and it takes me to that first lesson. So I showed you this one already. So I can watch the video. I can click, I have completed this lesson and it checks it off for me. I can click on the next lesson. I instead am going to go ahead and click path 1 and it has brought me to path 1. You've got a lot of experience. So this is where I can fill the thing in. I didn't bother to put the videos and such in because I have another page with the video. I just wanted to show you what that looks like and that you could directly fill the embeddable things out on the page. I did not find a way to make it so you don't have to scroll. So we'll see what that looks like on the accessibility end of things. I can still continue to click next lesson. And I haven't put anything in here, but when I do click next lesson, notice it did not check path 1 off for me. So you really do have to do 2 clicks. That kind of brings us to answering question 3. So question 3 is how much friction is there between consuming the content and doing the dang thing? So I'm going to fail it on this one as well, primarily because there's no real way to submit something other than a form. So you can do a form that has an open-ended question, and then you can do kind of the feedback loops on that side of things. But if you really have kind of complex or detailed instructions for folks to follow, and it's not something that a form could take, I consider the forms to be a workaround because it is additional clicking. Like within the space, I have to, let me go back to that. So I have to click the things, right? And then I have to click next. I have to actually submit this form. And then in order for the lesson to be completed, I have to click, I completed this lesson and then the next lesson. If I want them to do anything that is more complex, I have to have the learning resources, which were in a different lesson. And that again is a click out to complete. And the learning resources are only in that first path. So if they didn't do it here, they're going to have to come back to do it. I wasn't able to put this in all of the other lessons. So we fail here. All right, so now I'm going to run Successible on Teachery. So we have an alt text issue. It's on my big image. There was no option to add alt text. So again, it's something where I have to have it embedded in the image. Poor color contrast. So let's see. Okay, so we have several poor color contrast issues. All of these but one. This link 3, that's me. I can go in and fix that with the give a style your course option. I can change that color, but all of these are inherent in the tool itself. And so there's not anything I could do to change that. The skipped heading levels, again, these are not things I can change. They were just spaces that I could type in. Okay, so on a lesson building page, we're having some of the same issues. That alt text is going to come up every time. For the poor color contrast, again, a lot of these are inherent in the system itself, and these are not buttons that I can change. All of these filling in boxes, those all come up as issues. I do have a couple of link text, like this link text needs to be changed. So these, changing the text of my clickable links is something that I would need to do. But all of these other buttons are Teachery buttons that are not something I can control. The last thing that popped up is missing captions, and that is because this is an embedded YouTube video. So I do have SRT caption file uploaded to this video, and we can see that I do have the subtitles in there when you turn it on. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you is the student view. So again, the alt text is coming up for this image. The poor color contrast is still coming up for those two issues, with the link text being this orange color. Orange tends to pop up as an issue. And then the missing captions. But otherwise, everything that I have put on the page is accessible. If you would like to try Successible, the accessibility tool for yourself, the link is in the description. When you're deciding whether or not Teachery is going to be a good fit for you, you have to ask yourself, do you want a platform where you own the bits and pieces outright in other places and you pull them together into a simple, clean learning experience to consume the content? Or do you need the platform to help tell you whether or not your students are learning? If it's the first one, Teachery might be a good option. And if it's the second one, then it isn't. So Teachery did fail all 3 tests, even though there are a lot of things that they get right. Even just the simple fact of labeling the button where you build a course teach, right? That sets a lot for setting you up to do some things. They do call themselves a course builder, but I'm going to argue that they still built a resource library. In fact, it might even be a resource curation tool, because you are pulling in all of the things that you've already built from the outside in terms of links and embedding. And so they have created the structure for you. It's really thoughtfully priced with a very simple design that's appealing, right? There's nothing overwhelming about this tool, but it is assuming that lecturing equals teaching and that quizzing equals engagement. That's why we're limited to surveys and form tools, right? But it doesn't. Right? Those things don't equal teaching. It never has, but they are upfront about it. This is why something different needs to exist. And it's not because Teachery is a bad platform, but it wasn't really ever designed for learning. If you are not sure if you are ready to choose a platform, I have a quiz for you in the description. Next up, we are going to jump into Thinkific. Same lesson, same 3 tests. If it's not there, it'll be there next week.